Hello and welcome to Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Tina Jha with News Tonight, where we get you the day's biggest news stories from across India and the world. Before getting you the headlines, Rajya Sabha TV wants to make an appeal to all its viewers to stay safe from the COVID-19 pandemic. Wear face masks and wear them properly. Wash hands and face regularly and maintain physical distancing while stepping outside. Remember, these very simple precautions are all that it takes to defeat the pandemic. Time now for the headlines of the day. Government approves 3,500 crore rupees assistance for sugarcane farmers, money to be credited directly to their accounts. Prime Minister Modi calls it a day of special joy for the farmers. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu praises the hard work of the farmers, expresses confidence that all their doubts on the reform laws will be resolved through discussions. Union Cabinet approves spectrum auction worth 4 lakh crore rupees, also gives the go-ahead for power infrastructure projects worth over 6,000 crore rupees in the Northeast, and MOU with the US for cooperation in the power sector. Active cases of COVID-19 continue to fall in India. Over 33,800 patients recover in the last 24 hours. National recovery rate goes up to 95.2%. Prime Minister Modi salutes brave hearts of 1971 war at the National War Memorial. Golden torch lit on 50 years of historic victory in the India-Pakistan war. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh unveils logo for Swarnim Vijay Varsh. The Union Cabinet, headed by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, met on Wednesday and took decisions related to agriculture, telecom and the power sectors. Some key decisions include assistance of about 3,500 crore rupees for sugarcane farmers and approval to auction for the next round of spectrum allocation. Here's a detailed report on the cabinet decisions taken today.
The Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs on Wednesday approved a subsidy of 3,500 crore rupees for sugarcane farmers. Union Minister Prakash Javadekar said the decision will help farmers by directly depositing the subsidy money into their accounts. Subsidy is being given on 60 lakh tons of sugar exports at the rate of 6,000 rupees per ton.
सरकार ने इस साल 60 लाख टन चीनी निर्यात करने का निर्णय किया है, निर्यात को सब्सिडी देने का निर्णय किया है। ये सब्सिडी सीधे किसान के खाते में जाएगी। 3500 करोड़ रुपए इस काम के लिए लगेंगे, लेकिन किसान के लिए खुशखबरी वो है कि जो प्रत्यक्ष निर्यात होगा, वो निर्यात का जो मूल्य मिलेगा वो भी किसान के खाते में जाएगा। वो लगभग 18,000 करोड़ रुपए मिलेगा।
The decision is expected to benefit 5 crore sugarcane farmers as well as the 5 lakh workers employed in the sugar mills and related ancillary activities.
3,500 करोड़ रुपए सब्सिडी, 18,000 करोड़ रुपए निर्यात से मिलने वाली आय और अभी तक जो घोषित सब्सिडी दूसरी है उसका 5,361 करोड़ तो एक सप्ताह में किसान के खाते में जमा होगा।
The Union Cabinet also approved guidelines for the next round of spectrum auction that may begin in the last week of January. Telecom Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad said that 2,251 megahertz is being offered with a total valuation of 3.92 lakh crore rupees at reserve price.
Today the Cabinet has resolved that a spectrum will be auctioned. ये टोटल जो स्पेक्ट्रम ऑक्शन होंगे ये 2251 मेगाहर्ट्ज होंगे जो ऑक्शन में आएंगे। 700, 800, 900, 1800, 2100, 2300 और 2500 मेगाहर्ट्ज बैंड्स हम ऑक्शन करेंगे। इसी महीने हम नोटिस इनवाइटिंग एप्लीकेशंस इशू करेंगे और आने वाले मार्च में हमारी योजना है कि हम इस ऑक्शन को कार्य रूप देंगे।
The CCEA also approved the revised cost estimate of Northeastern Region Power System Improvement Project for 6 states at an estimated cost of 6,700 crore rupees. The decision will strengthen intra-state transmission and distribution systems.
पूर्वोत्तर भारत के 6 राज्यों में यानी आसाम, मणिपुर, मेघालय, मिजोरम, नागालैंड, त्रिपुरा, इन राज्यों में बिजली की संरचना को सुधार करने का एक काम पिछले 3 साल से जारी है, 4 साल से, और इस काम के लिए अब सुधारित संशोधित बजट आज मंजूर किया है। अब ये खर्चा पहले 5,000 करोड़ था, अब ये 6,700 करोड़ होगा। 50% केंद्र सरकार, 50% विश्व बैंक, ये इसमें पैसे देंगे। इसमें 2100 किलोमीटर 2100 किलोमीटर ट्रांसमिशन लाइंस बढ़ेंगे। 2000 किलोमीटर की डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन लाइंस बढ़ेगी।
Further, the government also approved the formation of National Security Direction on Telecommunications sector. The government will create a list of trusted vendors from whom telecommunications companies like Reliance Jio, Bharti Airtel and Vodafone Idea can procure telecom equipment. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi appreciated the decisions taken by the Union Cabinet, particularly on farmers, calling it a happy day for crores of farmers. The Prime Minister said that the approval of assistance of 3,500 crore rupees for the sugarcane farmers is in fact a good one and will help about 5 crore sugarcane farmers of the country and a similar number of workers employed in the sugar mills. And to discuss and analyze the key decisions of the Union Cabinet, we are joined by Mr. A.K. Bhattacharya, Editorial Director, Business Standard on News Tonight. A very good evening, sir, and thank you for joining us on Rajya Sabha TV. So, amid the farmers' protests, the Union Cabinet has today approved assistance of about 3,500 crore rupees for the sugarcane farmers. Now, how beneficial is this going to be for the 5 crore sugarcane farmers in the country and also for the workers who are employed in the sugar mills?
Well, it will be beneficial for these farmers who are around 50 million sugarcane farmers. But more important than that will be the issue about the surplus sugar that will be available in the country after the current sugar season has ended. As you would know that in the country is actually having a surplus availability of sugar cane. Around 5 million tons of sugar is extra available, in a sense that is a surplus, and otherwise the prices will come down and therefore will be depressing the recovery for the farmers and the mills. So the government has decided that even at its own exchequer's cost of around 3,500 crore of subsidies, the surplus sugar can be exported, which will help the sugar mills to recover that money and distribute it to the farmers. So it is, while the farmers will benefit, but the country's sugar economy will also benefit, because if you have a situation of around 5 million tons of extra sugar available in the country, even as the sugar season starts, it is not a good situation for the prices of the commodity. The prices of commodity should not be depressed to a point where the recovery and the payment of dues to the farmers are affected. So this will be a good decision for both the farmers as well as the sugar mills.
And to ensure transparency, it's going to be directly credited into their accounts as well. Sir, another important announcement has been the approval to the next round of spectrum allocation. Now, how significant is this move going to be?
Well, this will mainly benefit the telecom companies and also should, if the auctions do well, it will help improve the quality of telecom services the companies offer. Right now, there are broadly three major companies, and these spectrum auctions are for those megahertz, the spectrum bands, which actually help the 4G services. And as you know, that Reliance Jio is the country's largest telecom service provider, and that company's spectrum availability will come to an end for at least 18 of the 21 circles where it has got the spectrum from the company with which it had a tie-up, that is Reliance Communications. Now, if those spectrum agreements come to an end by July, August next year, then it must have access to new spectrum. And these auctions, if they are held by January, then hopefully the 4G auctions, and that is through the 800 megahertz, will be able to go to these companies, and this company can actually continue to provide 4G services. And this will actually, as a kind of I would say a savior of sorts for Reliance Jio, which is completely dependent on 4G services, whereas the Bharti and Vodafone IVI, they also will benefit, but not to that great extent. The important issue here would be that what is the value it fetches for the government. The government expects that the reserve value of these spectrum, the bands, would fetch them around 3.92 lakh crore of revenues. That will be the reserve value. But going by the last auctions, that is in 2016, even though the reserve value was more than 5 lakh crore, the actual realization was only around 65,000 crore.
Okay.
So the question is are Indian telecom companies will have the financial resource to bid at a level by which the government can recover revenues as high as 3.92 lakh crore as they are estimating. So my sense is that while this is a good move to help the telecom companies improve the telecom infrastructure, to improve the quality of services to the consumers, but at the same time, if the government is expecting that it will address its revenue needs from this, probably only time can tell us whether those needs will be met. Because after all, the telecom sector is under stress, and we are not sure whether they will be able to cough up so much money.
Surely. That is something that we'll all have to wait and watch. Thank you very much for joining us on News Tonight, sir, and sharing your thoughts on the cabinet decisions that have been taken today. Moving on, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu on Wednesday expressed hope that a reasonable solution will be found on the issues raised by farmers who are protesting against the agricultural reform laws, since both sides, the protesting farmers and the government, are willing to talk.
So it was the duty of the government and the society to encourage agriculture. Agriculture not only takes care of our own food requirements, but agriculture also promotes a different culture. Hard work, discipline, teamwork, you can learn and you can see from agriculture. That's why we call it as our basic culture.
Speaking at the awards ceremony in Hyderabad on Wednesday, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu expected both farmers and the government to arrive at a solution based on an understanding of each other's position. He expressed hope that both sides will have a fruitful dialogue.
Certain farmers are also agitating. And then we saw the news that the government is willing to talk to them. They are also willing to discuss. So they should come together and have fruitful and meaningful discussion and find a reasonable solution to the problems so that the farmers can go back happily and take care of their agriculture. we should not allow politics to come in the way. The moment politics get in, you know what will happen. I need not explain. So restriction from marketing of farm produce has been a long-standing demand. Deshavanta oke ahara mandala undala, one country, one food zone. That has been a long-term demand. No restriction on food grain movement. Secondly, there has to be mechanism for creating buoyancy in the market. So, on one side, government agencies to purchase whenever the minimum support price is falling. On the other side, private sector also must get in. So you have to strike a balance. And whenever there is a problem, the government should step in. This should be the guiding principle.
Vice President Naidu also observed that country's development is closely tied with the progress of farmers. The Vice President also lauded the farmers for rendering a great service to the nation during the pandemic by producing record food grains in spite of facing hardship.
But at the same time, we should not forget the farmers of India also making a great service in this hour of crisis. So we must compliment the farmers. See, one sector, in spite of all these difficulties, in the pandemic stood firm and produced record food grains is the farming community. So we should really remember and appreciate them also.
The Vice President said both the centre and the state governments should work as Team India in addressing the needs of farmers. He said apart from ensuring remunerative prices, the farmers should be provided timely and affordable credit. He also pointed out that steps should be taken to reduce wastage of agri-products. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And Union Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar has once again hit out at the opposition parties for misleading the farmers. At a farmers' conference in Gwalior on Wednesday, the minister said opposition parties have been running a propaganda against the new farm laws. He also went on to praise the farmers of Madhya Pradesh for supporting the 3 farm laws. He also said that the Modi government has followed the Swaminathan Commission recommendations. While the opposition has been misleading farmers, it's been the NDA government that has declared minimum support price for various farm produces by adding 50% profit on the cost of the farmer. Listen in.
पंजाब राज्य के किसानों को गुमराह करने की कोशिश की जा रही है, उनमें भ्रम पैदा करने की कोशिश की जा रही है, उनको आंदोलित करने का प्रयास किया जा रहा है। वहीं दूसरी तरफ आप सब लोग नरेंद्र मोदी जी की सरकार के द्वारा बनाए गए कानूनों का समर्थन करने के लिए रीवा में, सागर में, ग्वालियर में, उज्जैन में सब स्थानों पर इकट्ठा हुए हैं। इसलिए मैं आप सबका बहुत बहुत स्वागत करता हूं।
The Supreme Court on Wednesday issued a notice to the centre as well as the Delhi, Punjab and Haryana governments on a batch of petitions seeking removal of farmers protesting on the borders of the national capital. A bench headed by Chief Justice S.A. Bobde also suggested forming a panel with farmer leaders, government officials and several others to resolve the matter with the agitating farmers. The matter has been posted for further hearing on Thursday. The Parliamentary Committee on Personnel, Public Grievances, Law and Justice met on Wednesday. The panel is analysing legislative impact assessment. Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu had earlier pitched for a detailed legislative impact assessment for informed lawmaking.
The Parliamentary Committee on Personnel, Public Grievances, Law and Justice met on Wednesday. It heard from Senior Advisor Tata Trust on the subject of legislation and legislative impact assessment, status in India and way forward. Legislative impact assessment is a new lawmaking process to realize the stated objectives of various laws. It involves reviewing the impact of legislative proposals on social, economic, environmental and institutional factors. On previous occasions, Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu has advocated detailed legislative impact assessment. He said it would be useful to indicate such impact assessment in the legislative proposals for wider dissemination among all the stakeholders. Rajya Sabha chairman said that inter-ministerial consultations are held before the cabinet considered and approved legislative proposals, but the scope of undertaking and indicating the impact of such proposals is limited in the present context. He said that social impact assessment could indicate the social changes that flow from the implementation of a particular law, while the economic impact assessment could throw light on how much the law can address existing inequity. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
And the parliamentary committees on railways, defence, information and technology, food and consumer affairs and public distribution also met on Wednesday. The Parliamentary Committee on Defence was briefed by the representatives of the Ministry of Defence on introduction to the rank structure of the Defence Forces, including their uniforms, stars and badges. The panel also reviewed the working of cantonment boards. The cantonment board takes care of mandatory duties such as provision of public health, water supply, sanitation, primary education and street lighting. The Parliamentary Committee on Railways was briefed by the representatives of the Ministry of Railways on the impact of COVID-19 on rail operations. The Indian Railways, which is one of the most important modes of transportation across India, undertook several new measures to provide necessary facilities for comfortable travel amid the unprecedented outbreak of coronavirus. More than 4,000 Shramik special services have been operated by the Indian Railways to transport nearly 60 lakh people to their destination states. Shramik trains are being run since the 1st of May this year. Also, the Parliamentary Committee on Information Technology met on Wednesday. On the agenda was evidence from representatives of Facebook on safeguarding citizens' rights and prevention of misuse of social and online news media platforms, including special emphasis on women's security in the digital space. The Parliamentary Committee on Food and Consumer Affairs and Public Distribution adopted draft report on action taken by the government on observations or recommendations of the panel. It also heard from the representatives of the Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution on the price rise of essential commodities, causes and its effects. The Joint Committee on the Personal Data Protection Bill 2019 took up clause-by-clause consideration of the Personal Data Protection Bill 2019. UK Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab called on Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Wednesday. In a Twitter message, the Prime Minister said that they discussed the vast potential of the India-UK partnership in the post-COVID, post-Brexit world. He also said that he looked forward to the visit of UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson, which is scheduled next month, as he has agreed to become the chief guest at the Republic Day function. The Prime Minister also called for an ambitious and outcome-oriented 360-degree roadmap covering trade and investment, defence and security, migration and mobility, education, energy, climate change and health. Foreign Secretary Raab conveyed greetings of the British Prime Minister to Prime Minister Narendra Modi and thanked him for participating in the recently held Climate Ambition Summit, which was co-hosted by the UK. In fact, the UK Foreign Secretary also handed over a letter from the UK Prime Minister Johnson, inviting Prime Minister Modi to attend the G7 meeting, which is to be chaired by the UK in 2021. The British Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab also met Education Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank on Wednesday. Both leaders discussed issues related to facilitating Indian students for studies in various British universities and opportunities thereafter. They also discussed the new education policy of India and hailing India's new education policy as visionary. The British Foreign Secretary said it will strengthen education as a living bridge between the two countries. They also went on to discuss mutual recognition of degrees and decided to form a task force for further cooperation in the field of education. Education Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank on Wednesday announced that JEE Main 2021 exams will be held 4 times in a year. The exams will be conducted by the National Testing Agency in the months of February, March, April, and May 2021. In the first phase, the JEE Main 2021 exams will be conducted between 23rd to 26th of February. The decision was taken in order to allow students across the country to choose the suitable schedule as per their convenience. And polling for the 7th phase of DDC elections in Jammu and Kashmir concluded on Wednesday with a voter turnout of 57.22%. In Jammu and Kashmir Union Territory, polling for the 7th phase of the District Development Council elections concluded peacefully. Impressive turnout of voters was seen in Jammu Division, where 72% electorate exercised their franchise, while in Kashmir, 39.5% polling was recorded. Voting took place in 31 constituencies in this particular phase. Of this, 13 were in the Kashmir Valley and 18 in the Jammu Division, with a total of 298 candidates in the fray. A look now at the COVID-19 situation in the country. India reported 26,382 new cases of coronavirus on Wednesday morning, taking the total number of cases in the country to over 99,32,000. With 387 new deaths reported in the last 24 hours, the death toll now stands at 1,44,096. With 33,813 new recoveries in the same period, India continues to report more daily recoveries than the daily new cases. The active case load of the country stands at 3,32,000. The share of active cases in the total positive cases has further shrunk to 3.34%. The total recovered cases in the country stand at 94.5 lakh. The total tests have crossed 15 crore 66 lakh. 10,85,000 tests were conducted in the last 24 hours. Among states, Kerala continues to report the highest daily new cases at 5,218, followed by Maharashtra and West Bengal with 3,442 and 2,289 new cases respectively. Maharashtra also saw the maximum casualties at 70, while West Bengal and Delhi reported 45 and 41 daily deaths respectively. And the country remembered the martyrs of the 1971 India-Pakistan War on the 50th anniversary of the historic war that led to the creation of Bangladesh. In a Twitter message, President Ramnath Kovind remembered the valor of the soldiers. He said that their martyrdom in 1971 war has shown unparalleled grit and prowess to our forces, and the nation is eternally indebted to them. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu joined the nation in paying homage to the martyrs of the 1971 war. He said, their valor and courage wrote a glorious chapter in Indian history and continues to inspire every Indian today. Also paying homage to the soldiers who fought the 1971 war, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said, the unwavering courage of our armed forces resulted in a decisive victory for our country in the 1971 war. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh said the country will always remember the indomitable courage of the Indian armed forces during the 1971 war. He also said the sacrifice of the soldiers will continue to inspire every Indian. While Union Home Minister Amit Shah said that the courage of the Indian Army will continue to make every Indian proud. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also paid tribute at the National War Memorial on the occasion of Vijay Divas. He lit the Swarnim Vijay Mashal from the eternal flame of the National War Memorial in New Delhi, marking the beginning of the 50th anniversary year celebrations. While Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, the Chief of Defence Staff and Tri-Service Chiefs were present as the Prime Minister laid wreath and paid homage to the soldiers who made the supreme sacrifice for the country. The Defence Minister also unveiled the logo for Swarnim Vijay Varsh to mark the anniversary of the 1971 war. And before we leave, Rajya Sabha TV once again appeals to all its viewers to stay safe from the COVID-19 pandemic. Wear face masks, wash hands and face regularly, and maintain physical distancing while stepping outside. Remember, these simple precautions are all that it takes to defeat the pandemic. Good night and thank you for your time.